Good morning everybody. Today we are going to learn the types of Abhinaya from NATYASHASTRA. In that we will learn three types, that is Vachika, Satvika and Aharya Abhinaya. Abhinaya, as per NATYASHASTRA, the dramatic art reaches us through Abhinaya and histrionic presentations. In a literary composition, the components of experience like the characters, situations, their speeches, physical and psychological reactions. Bharata's Vibhava, Anubhava and Vyabhichari Bhavas are presented only through the words of the literary artist. In dramatic presentation, there is an additional advantages, namely that they can be presented in concrete form and can be visually perceived. An actor, for instance, can play a particular character using appropriate makeup and costume, speak the word he is intended to use and act the physical and psychological states the character is supposed to have gone through, and thereby create a live piece of experience, so to say, on the theatrical stage for us. The event or situation in which the character acts and reacts may not be left to our imaginative perceptions or to our understanding of the meaning of the word, written or spoken. It also can be reconstructed on the stage by the use of suitable drapery, curtains, props, property, special effects of stage arrangement, light and music. Such visual and audio aids that the theatre may utilize make the experience concrete, tangible and palpable for the spectator, where he can use most of his means of perception to grasp and accept the experience presented to him. This is an aspect which is particular and exclusive to drama. Bharata therefore gives us yet another definition of drama and says, the entire nature of human beings as connected with the experience of happiness and misery, joy and sorrow, when presented through the process of histrionic representation, that is Abhinaya, is to be called Natya. The NATYASHASTRA describes in great and minute details the technique of Abhinaya. Theoretically, Abhinaya is the only mode of presenting an experience in drama, the literary word serving as a script to carry out the dramatist's intent and as a base for the Abhinaya. Practically, the NATYASHASTRA seems to provide not only the theory of drama, but also the guidelines and rules for procedures for producers and actors to learn and to make use of the technique of Abhinaya in dramatic representations. Thus, Abhinaya is the only mode of communicating a dramatic experience to the spectators. The word is formed from the root preceded by the prepositions abhi. Abhinaya is the means to carry the poet's content and its aesthetic and philosophic significance toward the spectators. It employs the mode of direct presentation, visual and oral perception, in virtue of the intoned speeches, gestures and movements, facial expressions and physical poses, makeup and costume, etc. Thereby, it enables the spectators to be aware of the rich meaning that the poet's words carry and that the experience directly Bharata mentions 4 kinds of Abhinaya, that is Vachika, Angika, Aharya, and as we all know, the fourth one is Satvika. Vachika Abhinaya. The histrionics connected with the recitation and delivery of speeches in a dramatic performance is what is called Vachika Abhinaya. Bharata recognizes its importance by calling it the body of the Natya. The other aspects like physical acting, makeup and costumes, and even the psychological rendering convey only the meaning of the poet's words. Bharata's exposition of vowels and consonants, euphonic combinations, and the place of origin of the syllables in human body as part of Vachika Abhinaya has contained relevancy for an actor who is expected to know the correct place, chest, throat, and head from which the voice sounds must originate. Correct pronunciation of syllables is reciting the words and sentences and also the tone or pitch in which they are to be delivered. This is an important part of the Vachika Abhinaya in which actor must train himself. Articulated speech is voiced from the chest, throat, and head. Modulation of voice can convey assertion or negation as well as a particular state of mind. It will be appropriate to carry on a dramatic conversation with another at a long distance by raising the voice from head, that is in a high pitched voice, that with some one near in a voice rising from the throat, that is in a medium pitch, and that with one who is by our side in a voice rising from the chest, that is in a low pitch, as a dramatic necessity. An actor would do well to corroborate a whispered speech, repeating it in a lower tune and then setting the voice on normal pitch. Accent or voice intonation is of 4 kinds: high pitched or raised, low, resounding, and trembling or shaking. These are connected with different mental state and emotions. For instance, raised and resounding voice tone would be appropriate for reciting dramatic speeches connected with such emotions as love and laughter. Raised and shanky voice for emotions of heroism and fury. And for emotions of pathos, disgust, and fear, a low, resounding, and shaky voice would be more suitable. In the same way, while modulating the voice to convey an interrogative speech, the voice may start with the high pitch in the throat and descend to low pitch in the chest. And for the conveying an assertive speech, the voice may rise from the head and travel from low to high pitch. In delivering dramatic speeches, the voice registers play a significant part. The voice pitches appropriately used can almost be ornaments for Vachika Abhinaya. For instance, the lofty tone denoting the highest pitch of voice rising from the head will be found very appropriate for dramatic conversations with a far away party, for continuous and mounting dialogue, for calling out from a distance, and for conveying such mental states as of astonishment, distress, fear, etc. A blazing tone denoting a high pitch of voice rising from the head is best used to convey argument, quarrel, hot dispute, indignation, anger, fight, heroic strength, pride, sharp and biting statements. A flat tone rising from the chest registers it's suitable for conveying dejection, anxiety, suspense, distress, disease, wounds, receiving during sport and fight. A very low tone rising from the chest register is correct for natural conversation and for conveying conditions of physical peace, fatigue, harassment and so on. The fast or quickened tone rising from the throat is useful for conveying grace or in talking to women and children to soothe or divert them. The whispering to oneself or speaking through nose or for conveying pain due to cold, fever, fear, emergency, etc. The tone using slow tempo rising from the throat is advantageously employed in the context of love, passion, sorrow, doubt and so on. There is another aspect of Vachika Abhinaya that is worth mentioning. In delivering dramatic speeches effectively so that they convey the correct meaning and emotion, the mode of delivery has also to be carefully determined. Sometimes pauses would be necessary, not to take a breath but also for significance and emphasis. Sometimes a speech will have to be delivered if it were a dedication, and for such a purpose a graceful and charming delivery backed by sweet and delicate tone will be necessary. Occasionally a portion of a sentence may have to be delivered fast or slowly, and a word may have to be broken either for taking a breath or for conveying a particular mental state. The voice will have to be raised to a blazing pitch or brought down to a low pitch. These modes of delivery are connected with different emotions and sentiments to be rendered in a dramatic performance. Satvika Abhinaya. The precise meaning of sattva as part of an aspect of histrionics is to be gathered from two different explanations Bharata has provided. In the section on Abhinaya, Bharata says that sattva is in essence human body. The emotional states, that is bhava, which human beings experience arise from sattva. That is to say, due to the association of body, they find an appropriate expression through the body. A simple and natural expression of an emotional state is called bhava. And when the expression by way of gesture, flourished and movement acquires a delicate and charming quality, it is called hela. Thus, hela, hava and bhava are mutually connected and all of them represent aspects of sattva. As such, they belong to the body and rest of the physical nature of man. In the context of Sattvika bhavas, Bharata says that sattva originates in mind. It denotes the equipoised state of mind. When the mind attains perfect concentration, sattva is produced. This is so because the physical expression of an emotional state like horripilation, tears, loss of colors and like cannot simply be produced in acting unless the mind is fully concentrated and undistracted. As it happens, it is an experience in real life. Considering the double aspect of sattva, mind, emotional state and physical expression, Sattvika Abhinaya may be understood as psychophysical representation. Whatever may be the actual condition of his own mind, the actor must be able to weep or express joy. If the dramatic situation demands such a showing and produce appropriate physical relations, facial expressions, voice intonation, and symptoms of tears or jubilation, in order to convince his audience that he is experiencing sorrow or happiness. Such a piece of acting cannot be completely realistic unless an actor is living the role and not merely playing it. A show of emotional acting may be produced in virtue of training, practice, and theatrical aids or tricks. A superb simulation of emotion, however, demands a full concentration of mind on the part of an actor. This is sattva, and the abhinaya where it is present is to be called Satvika Abhinaya. Bharata rightly calls the abhinaya in which sattva preponderates as the supreme acting. Sattvic Abhinaya is spoken as the fourth kind, but it is easy to see it must underlie recitation of dramatic speeches, that is Vachika, gesture and movements of the body, that is Angika, and facial expression, that is Mukharaga, at the back of all of which a concentrated, undistracted mind must work. It is with this idea that it is also described in connection with Samanya Abhinaya. Samanya may mean what is common to all beings, like verbal expression, physical reaction, and mental state. Or it may mean the aspect of Abhinaya which is common to all kinds of acting. It is a coordination of speech, body movements, and mind, particularly as they relate to the dramatic representation of emotional states. A few examples may be used to illustrate how different kinds of abhinaya come together in executing a particular state. This, for instance, which accompanies love and pleasure, will be shown by a woman by the spatial way she stands, sits, or walks, and by the action of her hand, eyebrow, and eyes. A man will exhibit vilasa by steadily moving eyes, a measured gait like that of a powerful bull, and talk prefaced by a smile. The abhinaya or listening to a sound is done by slightly turning the eyelids down, turning the head to a side, the direction from which the sound is supposed to come, and placing the forefinger near the ear. It should be this. To indicate mental reaction to a sound, an actor will turn eagerly towards it if it is a desirable or agreeable. But if it is not so, he will turn his head, contract his eyes and nose, and shut his eyes. Aharya Abhinaya. The Aharya Abhinaya is connected with what is known as Nepatya, the use of makeup, costumes, jewelry, weapons, stage props and property, etc., necessary in a stage representation of drama. Abhinaya says that belongs to the Bahiranga for external visual aspects of dramatic representation, like a wall or canvas to a picture. The Aharya stands at the back of the whole production, and hence Bharata's direction that the sincere effort is necessarily in putting up the Nepatya by all those who wish well with dramatic production. Bharata divides Nepatya into 4 kinds: Pusta or model work, Alankara or decoration, Angarechita or painting of the limbs, Makapa, and Sajjiva or Sanjiva, meaning use of living things like birds and animals in course of dramatic production. Modelled objects. Pusta or models required as stage property or occasionally as part of scenery are affected in 3 different ways. The desired form of a thing may be made by joining together leaves of or barks of trees, pieces of bamboo, skin, cloth, etc. Such a pusta is sandhima, an object or stage property contrived and operated by some mechanical device like pulling a string is called Vyajima pusta. A model prepared by wrapping, that is to say by overlaying layers of wax, lac, etc. is a Vestita pusta. The Natyashastra tells us all objects in the world which can be fashioned by imitation may serve as instruments of Natya in a performance demanded their use. These will include mansions, houses, temples, terraces, vehicles, various kinds of weapons, shields, armors, banners, mountains and other immovable objects and replicas of a house, elephant, etc. These should first be fashioned with pieces of bamboo, giving them the correct form and shape required. Then the figures should be wrapped with the cloth and painted with delightful colors. If cloth is not available, palm or beech leaves which could be used for wrapping. The weapons are to be fashioned by using grass and bamboo pieces, lac and ground pieces, etc. Iron and heavy material is never to be used. Even in using wood, skin, cloth, bamboo or lac, special care must be taken that an object fashioned or dramatic use will be light in weight. An air of realism must be combined with the ease and convenience of stage business. Decoration. Alankar or decoration in the making of a dramatic role is effected with the use of flowers and garlands, ornaments and jewelry and appropriate garments. The Natyashastra speaks of varied floral patterns that could be made, flowers or garlands wrapped with fibers of grass which could be used to encircle a part of the body, like a chaplet, flowers so woven as to spread out like a piece of cloth and possible to be used almost like a small knitted garment, clusters or bouquets of flowers, flowers woven or knotted together, flowers made into a hanging garland. The varied ornaments to be used by dramatic characters to play respective parts may similarly be grouped. Such ornaments are put on by piercing a part of the body, like an ear ornament, such as are simply put on the body, like a gold thread or different kinds of necklaces, such as are fixed by tying up, like a girdle, shoulder ornament, pearls, etc., and such as are attached to the part of the body by fastening like an anklet. The Natyashastra gives a very long list of ornaments appropriate for male and female characters and also from the point of view of the country of their origin and social caste to which they belong. The ornaments include different kinds of head ornaments, ear ornaments, rings, ornaments for wrist, upper arm, neck, chest, waist, for men, for women, ornaments to be worn on and in the hair, for ear, for forehead, including the artistic arrangements of the tilaka mark and the use of flowers. Patra lekha for cheeks, collyrium for eyes, and coloring for teeth, if required, particularly white like pearls or red like a lotus. Ruff for lower lip, and besides other ornaments usually worn and special ones like a network of pearls put on the breast. Different kinds of girdles make the clusters of jewels fastened in gold thread and with tiny jingling gold bells, that is called kinkini, attached to them. Use of lac dye applied to the sides and soles of feet and decorative paintings of legs is regarded as a part of alankara. The Natyashastra, however, warns that the actor must place the ornaments correctly or he will make himself ridiculous. Also, excessive use of ornaments and loading the body with them must be avoided. It will exhaust an actor, come in the way of his free and natural movements, and may result in too much perspiration or even a faint. Bharata indicates some special points in regards to the use of ornaments, garments, and hairstyles for characters of different classes, the general principle being then that of individual identity and proper distinction. Thus, heavenly men and women, shikhandaka, hair piled on head and pearls used in them, women of gods, green garments and accessories, or Pusharga jewelers. Vidyadhara woman, white dress. Yaksha woman and Apsaras, use of jewels. Naga woman, pearls. Siddha woman, yellow garment, pearls and emeralds. Gandharva woman, reddish garment, rubies and carrying lutes in their hands. Rakshasis, black garments, white teeth, blue gems. Muni Kanya, hair in a single pleat, no jewels, dress appropriate for forest dwelling. In the case of human characters, dress, hairstyles and ornaments are to be used according to place and country and the social practice. The third one is makeup and costume. The general direction for makeup is that it should be consistent with the country, social caste and age of the dramatic character to be acted. Special colors are to be used, however, for distinguishing characters properly and suggestively. Gods generally yakshas and apsaras, yellowish red. Gods like Rudra, Sun, Soma, Varuna, etc., shining yellow of gold. Samudra, Himavata and Ganga, white. Angaraka is red. Buddha and fire is yellow. Nara, Narayana, Vasuki, blue. Demons of all kinds, Pishachas, mountains, water, sky, dark. Men belonging to different regions have different complexions, like the color of heated gold, white blue, yellowish red, but for dramatic convention the following directions may be used. Kings, red like lotus, yellowish red and blue. Happy mortals, yellowish red. Crooked, deceased, low caste and those in penance, dark. Sages, generally plum colored, but variations may be used for the purpose. Barbarous and hill tribes, generally dark. Northern men, yellowish red. Western men, bluish. Brahmins and Kshatriyas, yellowish red. Vaishya and Shudra, bluish. Suitable beards have to be provided for male characters as part of the makeup. Generally, celestial characters, royal patronages, kings, officers, etc. may appear with clean shaven faces. In case beard is to be used, it should be nicely trimmed with the use of razor and a pair of scissors. Sages, ascetics, forest dwellers, etc. will have thick and long beards and hair. The hair used for sticking a beard may be colored to indicate a particular mental condition, like blue hair for distressed person, those in calamity or in penance, and those who have still to fulfill a vow. Garments used in making out a costume may be suitably colored. For example, white colored garments are to be used for ritual and auspicious worship, in religious observance, in marriage ceremony, etc. This applies to the costume of both men and women, gods and other divine or semi-divine beings, a picturesque multicolored costume. Brahmins, minister, royal priest, officers in the king harem, and men of the three castes, generally a clean and white costume. Mad, intoxicated person, travelers and men in calamity, a soiled costume. A dress of barks and skins for ascetics, wandering ascetics, munis and chamberlain, etc. reddish brown garments. Kings, generally we use a picturesque of and various costume, while only white only on religious and auspicious occasions. When they dress for the war and fight, they will wear armors, etc. and an appropriate array of weapons. Makeup and costume also include the use of head dresses. The Natya-shastra speaks of three kinds of crowns. Gods and other celestial characters will wear a crown that covers the head from sides. Kings have to have a full crown covering the forehead and top of the head. Princes, commanders of army, chief ministers will wear a half crown. Other ministers, chamberlain, lawyer, prince, chief merchants, etc. will wear a band of cloth wrapped around the head like a turban. Other characters will wear long hair or have a shaven head as required. Sages will have matted hair piled high on the head. The Vidushaka may have hair on the head like crow's feet, that is kakapada, or he and his cheta may wear either three tufts, that is 3 shikha of hair, or have a shaven head. Bharata also speaks of masks, that is pratishirshaka. They are to be prepared with ash or chaff, possibly also clay, using an earthen jar as a foundation. Cloth is to be fixed on the shape with bilva pulp and oil. When up in sun, holes for eyes, nose, mouth and ears are to be made with sharp instrument, forming the features like forehead, etc. These masks were worn with beautifully formed crown in human impersonation. One may presume that masks may have been used in playing the roles of certain gods and demons as well as of animals and birds. The weapons which are to be used are fashioned by the process of modeling and are expected to be proportionate to the physical build of the character who is to use them in dramatic business. Sajiva, appearance of live animals and birds is referred to by term Sajiva and is regarded as a part of Nepatya Abhinaya. What Bharata means by this may be conjectured as an introduction on stage of living and non-living things by human impersonation to serve a dramatic purpose. Bharata says that weapons, mountains, etc. may appear in corporeal form and use the dress and speech of human beings. Similarly, peacocks, swans, etc. may be represented by dance gestures and movements, and animals by appropriate gait and body movements. Bharata introduces Vishnu's weapons and Garuda in two of his plays and assigns speaking part to them. This is possible to be staged only if actors played these roles. It may similarly be assumed that the deer that figures the Kalidasa's Shakuntal must have been played by a young actor. Apart from this, Bharata also describes Chitrabhinaya and Samanya Abhinaya, which is described as a combination of speech, bodily movements and natural grace born of inner spirit. The Chitrabhinaya is an extension of Angik Abhinaya, which deals with the use of body to describe the represent pictoriality. The material and non-material objects such as night, evening, darkness, heat, etc. and also the representation of the feelings like joy, anger, pain and sorrow. So, we have seen the Satvika Abhinaya which comes from the Sattva and the Aharya Abhinaya which is used as an extra part we can have to elaborate our Abhinay more.